I was in love with Amanda for 3 years. We met in college, built a life together, and I thought we had something real. When she wanted to pursue her MBA, I never hesitated. I worked extra hours, cut back on expenses, and prioritized her dreams. Tonight, as I confirmed the $20,000 transfer for her final semester, she looked me straight in the eyes and said those words, "I will never forget. I am leaving you for Liam. He is everything you are not." If you are watching this, let me know where you are from. Hit the like and subscribe buttons if you have ever been blindsided by someone you trusted. Have you ever had your kindness thrown back in your face? I met Amanda during my junior year of college. I was studying computer science focused entirely on my future career when fate intervened in the university library. I was searching for a programming textbook when I bumped into her literally. Her stack of economics books tumbled to the floor, and as we both knelt to gather them, our eyes met. She had these striking blue eyes that seemed to see right through me. We started talking that day and discovered we had similar backgrounds. Both of us were first-generation college students from middle-class families, both ambitious but grounded. Our first date was at a small coffee shop near campus. I remember how she talked passionately about wanting to change the business world, make it more ethical. Her enthusiasm was infectious. Things progressed naturally. We studied together, supported each other through finals, and by senior year we were inseparable. After graduation, moving in together seemed like the logical next step. We found a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Seattle. I landed a good entry-level position at a tech company, while Amanda took a job at a local marketing firm. For the first year, everything was perfect. We were young in love and building our future together. When Amanda first mentioned wanting to pursue an MBA, I was completely supportive. She explained how it would open doors, increase her earning potential, and help her make the impact she always dreamed of. The only obstacle was the cost. Even with scholarships, we were looking at over $80,000. I remember that night clearly. We sat at our small kitchen table, calculator in hand, trying to make the numbers work. Amanda looked defeated. She had already been rejected for several private loans due to her existing student debt. That was when I made the decision that would change everything. "I am going to help you," I told her. My job was going well. I had received an early promotion, and while it would be tight, I could cover her tuition payments. The smile that lit up her face made every sacrifice seem worthwhile. To make it work, I picked up additional projects at my company for the extra pay. I sold my car and started taking public transportation. I postponed my own plans for an advanced certification. None of it mattered because I believed in Amanda and in us. This was an investment in our shared future. For the first semester, Amanda was overwhelmingly grateful. She would leave thank you notes in my laptop bag, cook special dinners when she had time, and constantly expressed how lucky she felt. I was proud of how hard she studied and how quickly she adapted to the rigorous program. This was exactly what partnership was supposed to be, about supporting each other through the tough times. The changes were subtle at first. Amanda started mentioning new friends from her program, which seemed normal and healthy. There was Stephanie, who had worked on Wall Street, David, who came from a family of successful entrepreneurs, and then there was Liam. Something in her voice changed when she talked about him. Liam had already launched and sold a startup before deciding to get his MBA. Liam drove a Tesla. Liam had connections with venture capitalists. I tried not to think much of it. Amanda was building a professional network, and that was good. But then came the canceled date nights. Sorry, study group ran late. The missed calls. My phone was on silent in class. The weekends when she needed to work on group projects and would be gone all day. One evening, about 6 months into her program, she came home particularly excited. She had been selected for a prestigious case competition, and her team had a real shot at winning. Her teammate was Liam. Something tightened in my chest as she said his name, but I pushed the feeling aside. This was an opportunity for her to shine, and I wanted to be supportive. I would catch myself obsessively checking her social media, something I had never done before. There were new photos of her with her classmates at networking events and study sessions. Liam appeared in many of them, always standing close to Amanda, always looking at her with what seemed more than professional interest. We had been together long enough that I could sense the shift in her feelings even before she said anything concrete. The way she checked her phone more frequently when we were together, how she seemed distracted during our conversations, the decreasing physical intimacy. These were all warning signs I chose to ignore, convincing myself it was just the stress of her program. By the end of the second semester, Amanda had changed more than just her schedule. Her wardrobe upgraded to designer brands I knew we could not afford. When I asked about a new handbag or pair of shoes, she would vaguely mention student discounts or sales. I wanted to believe her. Our apartment, once a space of warmth and shared dreams, began feeling like a hotel to her, someplace she just passed through between more important engagements. I was becoming a footnote in her increasingly glamorous life. The first time Amanda mentioned Liam directly in conversation, it seemed innocent enough. Liam suggested this amazing restaurant for our next date night. Or, Liam thinks I should focus on finance instead of marketing. But soon his name became a constant presence in our home. Liam was 32, 4 years older than me, and apparently those 4 years made all the difference. He had traveled extensively, spoke 3 languages, and according to Amanda, had an uncanny ability to charm anyone in business. Each new revelation about his talents felt like a small cut. I finally met him at a school networking event Amanda had reluctantly invited me to. I say reluctantly, because she prefaced the invitation with warnings. These events are usually just for students and professionals. It might be boring for you. You do not have to come if you do not want to. But I wanted to see this world she was now part of, and yes, I wanted to meet Liam. He was exactly as I had imagined. Tall, immaculately dressed in what I could tell was an expensive suit with perfect teeth and the confident posture of someone who had never doubted himself. When Amanda introduced us, he gave me a firm handshake and a smile that never reached his eyes. "So you are the supportive boyfriend I have heard about," he said in a tone that somehow made supportive sound like a synonym for simple. "Amanda tells me you work in tech." The conversation that followed was a masterclass in subtle condescension. He asked questions about my job only to interject with comments about how his friend had revolutionized that exact area or how that technology was soon to be obsolete according to his connections in Silicon Valley. I stood there watching Amanda laugh at his jokes, touch his arm, and gradually drift physically farther from me as the evening progressed. On the drive home, Amanda was unusually quiet. Finally, as we neared our apartment, she spoke. "Liam thinks I have real potential. He says with the right connections I could land a position at one of the top consulting firms after graduation." "That is great," I said, trying to sound enthusiastic. "He also thinks I am selling myself short. In some ways," she continued, looking out the window rather than at me, "that I should be setting my sights higher, in my career and in life." The implication hung in the air between us, but I did not have the courage to address it directly. Instead, I reached for her hand, which she allowed me to hold until we parked, then quickly exited the car. After that night, our relationship began to deteriorate more rapidly. Amanda started finding fault with things that had never bothered her before. My apartment was too small and outdated compared to the luxury high-rise where Liam lived. My career ambitions were too modest, she said. I lacked the killer instinct needed to really succeed. Even my wardrobe became a target. Why did I not dress more professionally at home? First impressions matter, Leif. Each criticism was followed by a comparison to Liam. Liam believes in making bold moves. Liam says the difference between average people and exceptional ones is their willingness to take risks, according to Liam. I tried to save our relationship. I planned special dates to reconnect, bought thoughtful gifts I could not really afford, and attempted to take interest in her new world. But the more I tried, the more Amanda seemed to pull away, as if my efforts only highlighted what she had come to see as my inadequacies. One evening, while Amanda was supposedly at a late study session, my phone buzzed with a text from my best friend Jake. "You need to see this," he wrote. Attached was a photo of Amanda and Liam at Canlis, one of the most expensive restaurants in Seattle. They were not studying. His hand was on hers, and they were looking at each other in a way that made my stomach drop. When she came home that night, I showed her the photo. Instead of apologizing or even looking guilty, Amanda went on the offensive. "Are you having me followed now?" she demanded. "This is exactly the problem, Leif. You are so insecure. Liam and I were discussing the final presentation for our entrepreneurship class. Not everything is some grand conspiracy against you." Her deflection left me speechless. She stormed off to the shower, and I sat on our bed wondering how the person I loved could lie so blatantly to my face. But even then I was not ready to give up on us. I told myself she was under pressure, that the demanding program was changing her temporarily, that once she graduated we would find our way back to each other. The incidents piled up. Mysterious weekend study retreats from which she returned with unexplained gifts. Perfume I did not recognize on her clothes. Her passwords changed on all devices. When I voiced my concerns, I was labeled controlling, paranoid, or old-fashioned. Jake and my other friends urged me to end things, but I kept making excuses for her behavior. I had invested so much, not just financially, but emotionally. Admitting our relationship was over meant admitting I had failed, that I had been deceived, that perhaps I was exactly what she now seemed to think not enough. The night everything came to a head was supposed to be a celebration. I had just received confirmation that my $20,000 payment for Amanda's final semester had been processed. It was the last major payment, the light at the end of a very expensive tunnel. I bought a bottle of champagne, ordered her favorite takeout, and waited for her to come home. She arrived 3 hours later than expected, already slightly tipsy from what she called a quick drink with classmates. I had reheated the food twice, and the champagne was warm, but I still tried to make the evening special. I showed her the confirmation email from the university's financial office. "Thanks," she said with surprising indifference, barely glancing at my phone screen. Then she poured herself another drink and sat on the opposite end of our couch. "Is everything okay?" I asked, though by then I knew it was not. She took a long sip, looked directly at me, and spoke the words that would end our 3-year relationship. "I am leaving you for Liam. He is everything you are not." The statement hung in the air like a physical thing. I waited for an explanation, an apology, anything that might soften the blow. Instead, she continued her words precise, as if she had rehearsed them. "You have been a safe option, Leif. You are reliable and nice, and I appreciate what you have done for me. But Liam shows me what I could have, what I deserve. He is ambitious, exciting, connected. We want the same things in life. I have been trying to find a way to tell you, but there is no easy way. I am moving in with him next week." I sat perfectly still, my mind racing to process what I was hearing. 3 years together. $80,000 in tuition. Countless sacrifices. All dismissed as me being a safe option. In that moment, something changed within me. I had spent months trying to win back someone who had already left, trying to prove my worth to someone who had assigned me a value far below what I deserved. The fog of denial finally lifted. "Good luck," I said, my voice calmer than I expected. She looked startled. "What?" I said. "Good luck. I hope things work out with Liam. I will need you to move your things out by tomorrow evening." Her expression shifted from confidence to confusion. "You are kicking me out just like that. The apartment lease is in my name," I reminded her. "I have been paying the rent while covering your tuition. So yes, just like that." She started to argue but stopped when I picked up my phone and began typing. "What are you doing?" she demanded. "Emailing the financial office," I explained. "I am canceling the payment for next semester. The confirmation just came through, so they should be able to reverse it." Her face paled. "You cannot do that." "Actually, I can. The payment was from my account, not a loan in your name. I checked the policy before making the arrangement. I have 24 hours to cancel." For the first time that night, perhaps for the first time in months, Amanda really looked at me. The calculation was visible in her eyes as she realized the implications. Without my payment, she would not be able to complete her final semester unless she could immediately come up with $20,000. "Leif, wait." She backpedaled, reaching for my hand. "I am emotional tonight. We had a lot to drink at the bar. I did not mean what I said." I moved my hand away. "Yes, you did, and it is okay. You were honest finally. Now I am being honest too." "What about all we have been through?" she asked, desperation creeping into her voice. "You would throw that away." "I did not throw it away, Amanda. You did. When you chose Liam. When you lied." When you decided I was just a safe option while actively pursuing someone else, she began to cry. But I recognized the tears for what they were: not sadness over losing me, but fear over losing her funding. Even in that painful moment, the clarity was almost a relief. I slept on the couch that night, while Amanda made frantic phone calls from our bedroom. The next morning, I left early for work, after sending the cancellation email to the financial office. They responded promptly with confirmation that the payment had been successfully reversed. Throughout the day, my phone lit up with messages and missed calls from Amanda. I turned it off and focused on my work. That evening, when I returned home, I found Amanda and Liam in our living room. Liam spoke first, his tone businesslike. "This is a misunderstanding that has gotten out of hand. Amanda was confused last night." I looked at Amanda, who stood slightly behind him, her eyes pleading. She had already told Liam about the canceled payment, and now he was here to fix her mistake. I wondered if she had told him everything she said to me, or if she had created a more sympathetic version of events. $20,000, I said. "That is what you need to complete your MBA. Liam appears very successful. Perhaps he can cover it." Liam frowned clearly, not expecting this response. "Well, that is not really the point. Amanda and I are at the beginning of our relationship. Taking on that kind of financial commitment would be premature. So it was okay for me to make that commitment, but not for you," I asked. "That is different," Amanda interjected. "You and I were together for years, and yet you were willing to throw those years away until you realized there was a financial consequence," I pointed out. The conversation devolved from there. Liam made vague threats about legal action for the withdrawn tuition, which I calmly explained would go nowhere since the money came from my personal account with no formal agreement. Amanda alternated between tears and anger. Eventually, they left together, Amanda promising she would return for her things. Later that evening, I received a text from Amanda. "Liam will not help with the tuition. He says it is not his problem. I do not know what to do." I did not respond. She had made her choice, and now she would live with the consequences. 2 days later, Amanda returned with a rental truck and 2 friends I did not recognize to collect her belongings. I had already packed most of her things to make the process faster. We barely spoke as she loaded up her life and removed it from mine. I later heard through mutual friends that Amanda had to drop out of the MBA program with just 1 semester remaining. She moved in with Liam, but their relationship deteriorated quickly once the reality of their situation set in. Without her degree, she struggled to find work matching her ambitions. Liam, it turned out, was not as financially stable as he pretended to be, living largely on credit and image. Within 2 months, they had broken up, and Amanda was forced to move back in with her parents in Oregon. The first weeks after Amanda left were the hardest. Our apartment, once full of her presence, felt empty and accusing. I considered moving but decided against it. This was my home, paid for with my hard work, and I would not let her take that from me too. I threw myself into my job, working longer hours than necessary. My boss noticed and offered me additional responsibilities, which came with a welcome pay increase. The money I had set aside for Amanda's final tuition payment now sat in my account, a constant reminder of what had happened. Eventually, I moved it into a separate savings account labeled Future Plans, though I had no clear idea what those plans might be. Jake and my other friends were incredibly supportive. They made sure I was not alone on weekends, invited me to gatherings, and never said "I told you so," though they had every right to. Sarah, a friend from college who had moved back to Seattle after a few years away, was particularly understanding. She had gone through a similar betrayal with her ex-fiancé and recognized the signs of someone trying to hide their pain behind work and forced smiles. There were moments when I questioned my decision. Not canceling the payment, I never regretted that, but investing so much in someone who valued me so little. Had there been signs from the beginning that I missed? Was I too giving, too trusting? These questions kept me awake at night. Gradually, I started rebuilding. I joined a local hiking group, something I had always wanted to do but never pursued, because Amanda had no interest in outdoor activities. I reconnected with old friends Amanda had subtly pulled me away from. I started therapy, which helped me understand that what happened was not a reflection of my worth. 6 months after our breakup, I received a long email from Amanda. She apologized for her behavior, explained how much she regretted her choices, and asked if we could meet to talk about potentially trying again. She wrote about how she had realized Liam was all surface and no substance, how he had moved on to another MBA student as soon as their relationship faced real challenges. "I am in a different place now," she wrote. "I understand what really matters. What we had was real, and I threw it away for an illusion." My hands shook as I read her words. A part of me, the part that had loved her for 3 years, wanted to respond immediately and agree to meet, but a stronger, wiser part held back. I waited 3 days before writing a brief, polite response. "Thank you for your apology. I accept it and wish you well in your future. However, I do not think meeting would be beneficial for either of us. Some broken things cannot be repaired, and sometimes that is for the best. Take care of yourself, Amanda." She sent several more emails over the following weeks, each more desperate than the last, but I stood firm. The door to that chapter of my life was closed. A year after Amanda left, I felt like myself again, though a different version, stronger at the broken places. I had received another promotion at work and was considering using some of my savings to take coding classes to further advance my career. I met Jessica at one of the hiking group outings. She was intelligent, kind, and refreshingly straightforward. On our third date, when the topic of past relationships inevitably came up, I shared a condensed version of my experience with Amanda. Jessica listened without judgment. "It sounds like you learned a lot about yourself through that experience," she said when I finished. I did. Mainly that I deserve someone who values me for who I am, not what I can provide. Jessica smiled. "That goes both ways. My last relationship ended because he wanted me to be a different version of myself. I think we are all looking for someone who sees us clearly and loves what they see." Our relationship developed naturally, without the desperate intensity that had characterized my time with Amanda. Jessica was financially independent with her own career as an environmental engineer. We supported each other's goals, but maintained our separate identities and interests. It was healthier than anything I had experienced before. As for Amanda, I heard through mutual friends that she eventually found an entry-level position at a small company far from the prestigious consulting role she had aspired to. She reached out occasionally with casual messages that I politely but firmly deflected. The last I heard, she was considering returning to school to finish her MBA, this time with federal loans. Liam, ironically, faced his own downfall. His carefully constructed image of success crumbled when several former classmates came forward with stories of questionable business practices and broken promises. His pattern of using people, particularly women, for financial and professional gain became common knowledge in their business program. The connections he had boasted about disappeared as his reputation suffered. Looking back, I realized that what felt like the worst moment of my life, Amanda telling me she was leaving for Liam, was actually the catalyst for my growth. It forced me to reevaluate what I wanted and what I deserved. It taught me that love without respect is not really love at all. The money I had saved for Amanda's tuition eventually went toward a down payment on a small house. Sometimes I think about how different my life would be if she had never said those words to me that night. I might still be with someone who did not truly value me, still trying to buy affection with sacrifices that went unappreciated. I learned that sometimes the best response to betrayal is not anger or revenge, but simply removing yourself from the situation with your dignity intact. That $20,000 bought me something far more valuable than an MBA for Amanda. It bought me my freedom and self-respect. If you have ever found yourself giving everything to someone who gives nothing in return, know that you can walk away. You can say good luck and mean it. You can cancel the payment, metaphorical or literal, that keeps you bound to someone who does not deserve you. And on the other side of that decision is a life more authentic and fulfilling than you can imagine. Have you ever had to make a difficult decision that ultimately led to growth? Share your experience in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more stories of overcoming betrayal and finding strength. And if you know someone who might need to hear this message, share this video with them. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes losing someone is the first step to finding yourself.